So this is exactly how you can raise prices and charge single clients up to $100,000 without losing clients. Okay, so this is exactly how I've done it. This is exactly how I charge single clients up to $100,000 and more, actually. And I will show you 4 simple ways and how you can do it as well. Because believe it or not, and I actually think that you might not believe it right now, but just charging clients more and finding out how to do it is one of the easiest way on how to make more money and work less in your situation. Even though you might think right now that this doesn't work in your situation, it won't work for you. But let me tell you, in 9 out of 10 cases for you, this is just in your head and really nothing else. Okay, so let's actually solve that first, because this is one of the biggest opportunities that you in your specific situation have right now. Trust me, just raising prices, charging more, and therefore working less for the same amount of money, right? So let's tackle it first, because I know that I will show you these 4 ways, but most of you watching this video will never execute on these 4 ways because you think that your clients will call you crazy or think you're stupid if you charge such high prices, right? That's why most will never try this, and most never have the guts to try this. And I get it; it's difficult. I've been in that situation. I've been in sales calls and trying to charge more and say, okay, now I'm going to double my price. And I was sitting there and I was like, okay, and all of this is just for 2K a month, right? So like I've been in that situation, and I want to help you solve that. Okay, so let's look at the first and most important hack, or the fastest hack. I will illustrate that by showing you this with a little iPad drawing here. Okay, so this is really the fastest way you can go about this. Okay, so the easiest hack is just to double your prices no matter what you're charging right now. And you might now think that I'm totally crazy because when you thought about increasing prices, you thought about increasing them by 10%, 15%, and so on. And I'm not telling you to just double them, right? And it might sound crazy, but I've done that multiple times and it always worked out. And I will show you how you can do that. But for now, let's say, even with your existing clients, you double your prices. If your service is quite good, not perfect, not bad, but quite good, chances are you might lose half your clients. How horrible? No, it's actually not horrible, because you lose half your clients, probably the half that's actually causing you more work and more stress, right? You keep half the clients, but you're charging double now means you're making the same amount of money with half the work. Probably less than half the work, because probably the clients that can't afford that are causing you more stress, right? Okay, so that is one of the easiest ways. But I know that most of you will never do this because it's scary and it's crazy, right? So let's now look at a solution for this problem, because this is a huge mindset thing, right? This is just in your head. Let me tell you this, okay? It's not crazy. There are people, there are businesses out there in your industry, in your niche, charging really 2 times, 3 times, 10 times, 50 times of what you are charging. Okay, so this is not crazy. You just have to get used to it. Okay, and one of the easiest ways to get used to this is this here. Okay, this is a mirror, not a beautiful one, but this is a mirror. Okay, so what you do, you just talk into the mirror and imagine yourself, or not just imagine, but really do it, on how you charge these new prices. So you just have the conversation with the client in the mirror. Okay, and you just say your new price. Okay, if you were previously charging $2,000 a month, you now charge $4,000 a month. Okay, and you just have that conversation in the mirror, and that's exactly what you do, and that's how you solve that problem, because this is really a huge mindset thing, and it's really worth solving that, because as I said, this is one of the biggest opportunities and one of the fastest way to make more money with less time input. If you can just do that, just double your price, lose half the clients, you already doubled the ROI on your time, which is great, because time is the most valuable thing we have. Okay, so you might think, okay, but I'm making the same amount of money. Yeah, but you're still winning, because time is a very limited resource, and money is something that they can print by pushing a button. Okay, so if you work half the time and make the same amount of money with way less stress, you're winning. Okay, right, but of course we want to apply this on how to make more money. Okay, so let's proceed with that. Okay, so this here is an anchor. Why an anchor? By the way, it's not a beautiful anchor, I know, but why an anchor? So because the client has a specific number in mind or your sales team or you, all of you have specific numbers in mind of what you're charging, okay? And this is a huge thing. So let's say you were charging 2K, like for a one-time payment, okay? 2K setup or whatever, okay? 2K. The thing is, you now want to change or raise your price to 3K, okay? But you don't just say, hey, it's 3K now. You jump over the 3K and you go straight to 4K. Okay, that's your new price. But then you have the option for your client to pay 2K now, okay, and 2K in 30 days. Okay, so basically just 2 installments. The thing is now that the price anchor, the 2K, is still the same, okay? The client still pays the same. You charge the same amount of money right now, okay? So that stays the same, and they just have an additional payment. But now it makes a lot of sense for the client to not do that, but just add an extra 1K right now, and don't have to pay the second payment, the second 2K, okay? And that's why this makes a lot of sense for the client now instead of doing this, okay? So that's a great way to go about this. And you can do the exact same things when you're going from 8K to 10K, 10K to 12K, and so on, okay? That's really valuable. Okay, so let's hop on to the next thing, which is extremely important, and that is actually the gap, okay? Let's write that down here, the gap. What do I mean by the gap? Okay, so let's say you have a client and you help him from situation A to situation B, okay? Go from point A to point B. And here between there's a gap, and you are actually the one helping the client to go from A to B. I don't know what happened with that left arm here, but either way. Okay, so you help the client from A to B. And depending on how huge this gap is, you can charge more or less, okay? Because this basically shows us how much you really help the client. Because you never want to charge based on time, okay? You never want to do that. You never want to charge based on time, on your hourly rate or something like that. Why? Because then your money output and your time input are always going together, okay? So the more money you want to make, the more time you have to put in, okay? And that's the worst thing you can have, because then you're basically a slave. Even if you're earning 20K, 25K a month, you're just a golden slave, nothing more, okay? If you lower the time input, you also make less money, right? So that's not what you want. You want to disconnect your time input and your money output. So in the best case, you make more money with less time input. And that's actually possible, and I've done it. And let's continue and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so point A to point B, that's what you do with the client, okay? So let's say you have one client and they're making 10K a month. This is a very, very simple example, okay? You can really play this example with every client in every niche, because you always help them to get from A to B, right? Okay, but let's say it's just about money now, okay? So they are making 10K a month and I help them to make 20K a month. Not bad, but I just added an extra 10K. And this is not bad. Let's say this is monthly. You could probably maybe still charge 100K, but it just makes sense for them after 1 year. So this is okay. But now let's imagine a different example. Let's say you work with clients that are making 200K per month, okay? And you, in the first example, you actually added 100% to their revenue, okay? 100% of this you added to their revenue to get, oops, okay, that was really ugly. Let's do that again. To get to this. Okay, this is not beautiful, but I think the point gets across. Okay, so, but now you just help them, let's say, make an extra 50%. Okay, so that's an extra 100K. So that comes up to 300K. Okay, so you help them to go from 200 to 300K, and that's plus 100K, but you just add in an extra 50%. And here's where it gets interesting, because for this one, you can obviously charge way more because you added way more value to their business. You created more value, okay? And it's probably even easier than first example, okay? This is so interesting because here, this is probably way harder to do than this, okay? Because businesses that are doing higher numbers, they have all the systems in place, they have more employees in place, and it's way easier to just change a few things and help them make more money than here. Here, for example, you have really, you have to work on a foundation with them. Like there are so many moving parts, there are so many things that are going wrong at that level, right? Here, there are already a lot of things going right. You just help them with with a few little like points and help them improve a few parts of their business, and they have a way higher impact. Okay, so this is also a huge question of like what clients you want to work with, what revenue size of businesses do you want to work with, and this will also determine how much you can help them, how huge the gap is you help them to overcome. Yeah, and this will determine how far you can raise your prices, because you can only raise your prices so far with the 10K a month business, because they will at some point also not be able to afford it. So this is a huge point. They have to be able to afford it, obviously. So very important thing to think about here. So I would really recommend you to do this exercise on your own. Okay, imagine point A, point B for your clients, and how could you maybe increase that gap? Okay, how could you help them more? With what clients and what revenue range should you work with? Okay, that's extremely valuable. Next thing, time. Okay, again, we talked about that, but I want to talk about this from a different perspective, because charging 100K at once is pretty hard. That's pretty hard. It's doable, but it's pretty hard. What's way easier is just keeping a client for a specific time frame and getting 100K in retainers out of that. Okay, so how can you do that? Let's say, like when I was starting out, I was just doing like month by month with clients. So they could cancel every month. Pretty stupid, right? But like they wouldn't, because I had a good service. But it's way better to have really predictable cash flow. So what you do is you say, hey, when you start working together, you do 3 months, okay? And then if they don't cancel in the first 3 months, or actually with a 30-day notice period, they have to cancel within the first 2 months. If they don't, then the contract automatically gets extended for another 12 months. Okay, so that gives us, and by the way, that's nothing bad. So if your service is good, that's perfect. If your service isn't good, you should be working on your service anyways, right? So that gives us 15 months, okay, of retainers. And now let's say we already talked about how to raise prices. It's oftentimes just really just doing it, just asking for more, okay? Just train it, just double your prices. Let's say you've been charging 3K a month before, now you charge 6K or 6.5K. If you charge 6.5K per month, that gives us times 15 months, that gives us roughly, not exactly, but roughly $100,000. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. This is not a good dollar sign, but either way. Okay, this gives us roughly $100,000. It's actually worse than the first one. And yeah, that's how you do it. This is how you get $100,000 out of one client. Okay, these are the 4 ways, the 4 steps that you can use. And if you just take one thing out of this video, then please let it be just try doubling your prices. Just try it, okay? Because you have nothing to lose if you just try. What can you really lose? Okay, you maybe lose 2 or 3 prospects on sales calls because your prices were too high. But not even that, honestly, because in a negotiation of the price, you can still go down. So there's really nothing to lose if you raise your prices. But there's everything to gain. Because what can you gain from this? A whole new business with a way higher profit margin, making way more money with way less work. So, but just trying it, just doubling the price that you're currently charging, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Okay? If you have any questions about this, please comment down below or text me on IG. My name is Felix Ihol, just as here. And yeah, leave it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. And if you watched this far, then let me tell you, you're on the right path. Keep going. Thank you.